Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Entitled Parents. Story 1. Selfish mother refuses operation for her daughter because it's 4 days before Christmas. Not a IRL story, but a Facebook post that my own mother shared with me, from a petty rage group, that I feel belongs here. Since this sub doesn't allow images, I'll copy down the post here, exactly as it was. Any spelling or grammatical errors were in the OP. Sorry for the longish post. The not-so-petty rage of just having a bollocking from the NHS. After waiting for over a year for my daughter to have grommets fitted, they rang us to say she was booked in. On the 21st of December. I explained that it was extremely short notice and it's 4 days before Christmas. Besides the fact they wanted her to come in tomorrow for a pre-OP no appointment, you just sit and wait. Anyway, I declined the appointment and got bollocked because I'd told them I could accept short notice appointments. I absolutely get the strain on the NHS, but it's also 4 days before Christmas and she's just turned 6. Is it me? Edit. Aw goodness me, it looks like I've occupied all of your afternoons. Firstly, this isn't for something that is affecting her. She has no loss of hearing. It's not comparable to brain surgery or a tonsillectomy. Now, I'll go and have a Baileys and enjoy your Christmas. I have come to the conclusion that it's absolutely me, but I can live with that. And for those wishing illness on my kids to teach me a lesson, I wish you peace. Apparently, in the Story 2. Update: my stepmom shat her bed and now demands my mattress. Link to original post. SM, stepmom dad. First of all, thanks for all the advice, kind words, and bed-shitting puns/jokes. Sadly, I didn't have time to write an update sooner since we had to put down our 16-year-old cat. May you rest in peace, Adam. I still decided to follow one of the advices and installed a door. A few days ago my dad and I installed a folding door between the shelves and the wall, and added a padlock, so she can't get in. That of course made her furious, since that would mean she can't get to my mattress. It ended with her continuing to use the thin folding mattress from the basement, and so far she hasn't whined about back pain or anything, so it doesn't seem to be so bad. Sadly, I'm off to the Bundeswehr, German Army, soon. Until I'm back, I'm hoping the door will stop her devastating blows of rage and anger. I'm also looking for a shared apartment to move into, since I'd like to get out of here. Again, thanks for all the kind words. 3. Story 3. Subreddit protest poll: Reddit is killing third-party applications, and itself. Recommended listening: Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. I meant to make this earlier in the week and then this morning, with the dawn of the final day joke, but that didn't end up happening as I've been busy and my surgery headaches backslid a bit. They've been better though. Context for what's going on is in my previous post for those who missed it or are new to this discussion on r/entitled parents. Happy birthday to me, I guess, the state of the sub. So, Reddit's actually going through with it. Third-party apps are getting spotty, and sometime today or tomorrow I'm sure they'll be completely cut off. If you're not disappointed by this, you're missing the point. Reddit claims that only 3% of users use third-party apps, but what that statistic glosses over is that only about 10% of users comment on posts made by an even smaller 1% of the user base. Moderators are an even tinier fraction. In the coming months, expect to see a general decline in the quality of the site as long-time posters are driven away and the scabs that the admins use to replace the protesting landed gentry, aka what Spez calls mods who know what they're doing, moderate poorly, or are simply spread too thin. Anyway, on the heart of the matter, the admins have made it clear that things will be changing, whether we like it or not. Here's your chance to influence how. https://forms.gle/laxpconf/9. Edit: leave entries blank for a no entry, spam will be filtered out. Story 4. My mom has claimed the spare room in our house as her room. She doesn't actually stay here much. But I fucking hate it. We've always had this weird power struggle over my home, and her staying there. I really don't think she's trying to be cute but trying to establish her power over me by stomping my boundaries. She's only stayed over a couple of times, we don't live in the same city, and I've corrected her each time she refers to it as hers. I say it's not your room, it's the guest room. I kinda thought we were past this song and dance, as the previous to last time she stayed she didn't say it. So I let my guard down, stupidly. Then the latest time she stayed over, as I was carrying her things into the room for the night, she quickly mutters, "It is my room, isn't it? Nobody else has stayed in here." It caught me by surprise, so I didn't correct her this time. And besides me and my husband, it is technically true. But that doesn't mean she has ownership over it either. Then just yesterday she asked if she could stay over later this week. As I'm checking my calendar she slips in a "my room" phrase. So I corrected her, "It's not your room, it's the guest room." To which she stuck out her bottom lip in a pout, and whines, "It is my room." I start to repeat myself, and she just talked over me before I could finish, about, "Did you know where your roaster is? The one that I got you for blah blah blah." Yes, I do know where that roaster is, it's in the closet of the guest room. So now I interrupt her and demand, "Why were you in that closet?" And she proudly boasts I was snooping. I actually don't really care she went in there, but the way she proudly boasted about it really rubbed me the wrong way. And given the timing of it, it felt a lot like she was trying to hold more power over me when I was trying to establish my own boundaries. I will absolutely be telling her on no uncertain terms will she be calling it her room again. If she does, it will be the last time she stays in it. But I just wanted to rant about it. Story 5. Wasn't sure where to put this, so here we go. My dad was angrily yelling at me from the top of the stairs that I was done with breakfast, despite there still being food in front of me. Why? It was 10:30. I ended up puking out some of my breakfast because I was scrambling to finish it. I went upstairs to see him, and he told me that my phone was the problem, even accusing me of worshipping it as if it were a godan, that in order to make sure I wake up the way he wants, he'll either wake me up early or change my phone's availability time. After that, my sister and I received our chores to do for today, since she and my dad are going to leave tomorrow for California. Since I was still emotionally charged at the time, I went to try and talk to my older sibling while getting the web duster. They were making food. They tried to stay out of it, but that ended up making things worse. My dad stormed down, called my sibling an asshole, called me a bitch, then went upstairs to get his work stuff, and I sat down at the dinette and started crying. After that my dad came downstairs with his work stuff and left to work somewhere else. My dad had already told my mom about the situation, so my older sibling and I called her as well to give our sides of that debacle. I don't know what she makes of it, but I'm assuming she's taking my dad's side. So basically my dad wants to restrict me because I took too long eating breakfast. I got upset and nobody wanted to talk to me, which made my emotional state at the time worse. My dad has not yet returned from working, but I nevertheless fear whatever he has planned for me when he gets home. Story 6. They make you feel bad, as a person. Hello guys, it's Bessie Riblin here. Have you parents ever made you have guilt trip every time even you have done nothing? Because your parents are toxic and cannot accept you. You are going to be a cycle breaker because this abuse will stop from you. They make you feel bad, as a person. https://youtube.b/xbdk6v0lxw. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 7. I am being told off for going to the hospital. Hi there, my first proper post. I am 17 and live in the UK. Last night in the early morning I was having problems being able to see out of my left eye and nose was bleeding at the same time. I called 111, which in the UK is the non-emergency contact for the ambulance service who will advise you on what to do. They told me that I should be seen by a medical professional within the next 2 hours. It was about 2 in the morning. So I got myself out of bed and informed my mum that she needed to take me to the hospital. She was reluctant about it, and seemed annoyed that she had to take me as it's a 30-minute journey. Once we were at the hospital I was seen within an hour of being there and they checked me over and did vitals, put dye in my eye. Eventually they told me I'd have to come back in the morning and someone would call to make me an appointment to see a hospital eye specialist. We got home about 6 in the morning and I needed to sleep badly so I went to bed. My mum told me she would wake me up to get the call from the hospital. I thought, oh, that's no problem. Fast forward to now, 7 p.m., and I am being told off for sleeping. She apparently woke me up a few times. Yes, I am a bit of a heavy sleeper. She's telling me how unfair it is that she was awake all day and I just slept. Now they're all eating dinner downstairs but my mum is mad at me and if she is my stepdad will be too. So now I'm worried about going downstairs to see them. And I am not able to talk to my mum alone because Simon will come to us too and I'll just be blamed. Reddit, what do I do? They won't listen and I need to be able to get this sorted. I still can't see properly in one eye. Story 8. Customer doesn't understand the concept of paying for a gift card. So I work in a retail store and during my shift I was working on the till. For most of the day the customers were normal, some moody but not bad. Then 2 women with a little girl showed up and they put 3 items on the belt but let the kid keep a PlayStation gift card. I ask if she had already paid on another till for the gift card. She says no. I ask if she's paying for it. She says no, she just likes the cards. Then in a much louder voice says, is there a problem? I tell her that she can't just take a product from our store without paying. Policy plus the stores get robbed enough. And she proceeds to huff at me loudly, then take the card out of her kid's hand and smacks it down on the counter saying it's pathetic and telling her kid the man won't give us the card, we'll get you one somewhere else. She proceeds to glare at me as she leaves and her friend pays, then shuffled out the door. I know it's not the most exciting of encounters on here but it's one of my first real entitled encounters in my job so I figured I'd share. Edit. I think I may need to explain a bit more. The gift card was a PlayStation 1 that costs $10 to activate. My store only sells Amazon, Xbox and PlayStation gift cards and we don't have any of our own. Also my store policy is clear about taking any property, even a card they haven't activated is still not allowed as someone else could have paid for the card. Story 9. Neglectful father almost kills childs. Hi, I'm an agender, he/they. And I've previously discussed both my father and my allergies on different posts. This is most recent story I've ever posted as it has just happened a couple hours ago, the last part just happening now. Keep in mind that I am a minor so I am stuck with these people. Plus I'm too scared to change my situation. TLDR, had an allergic reaction so bad I almost died and my dad was being a bitch about it. I had an argument with my dad as even though I own my own room it isn't private with my family walking in and out as they please and my stuff usually being misplaced, borrowed, or thrown away without my knowledge. He took something delicate from my room and I got mad as I was afraid it would break. We argued for a bit with me slamming my door a couple times which didn't do much to damage it, not to my knowledge at least. I hadn't eaten anything all day due to the night previous. I had woken up around midday. I decided to go eat some peanuts which I remembered was kept in the kitchen and my mother usually snacks on them. I grabbed the mixed bag and snacked on some until I, immediately, started having an allergic reaction. 1313. I didn't know if it was one at first or not so I did wait a bit, huge mistake on my part, until it was confirmed. I walked to the kitchen to grab medication and as I was sifting through the drawer my father started yelling at me again in which I responded to with more yelling until I felt dizzy. I informed my father that I had mistakenly eaten some cashews, literally only 2, which means that I felt like I was dying and he should help me get medication. He didn't do so and we argued some more until I felt like I was going to collapse so I went back to my room without medication. Back in my room I vomited on the floor. 1320. I called out and informed my father who didn't do anything so I called my mother who told me to get medication. I told her about being too dizzy and that my room was on the opposite side of the kitchen, which is where the medication cabinet is, so she made me called my brother, who complained at first, to help me. He wasn't able to find the medication so he gave the phone to my father who finally helped me. Unfortunately at this point I felt horrible. Stomach pains plus difficulty breathing. My father gave me food and I told him I couldn't breathe through short words as I used my mouth to do so. He ignored it and I proceeded to vomit 2 more times. I yelled out for my father through short breaths, saying I was in a sea of vomit and he came in, finally thinking it was bad enough for the hospital. When my father came in and spotted the sea of clear vomit surrounding my bed, he started to clean it as I was closing my eyes, clenching my stomach and barely breathing. He did multiple other things around the house before we left to go to the hospital. 1406. During the car ride, my father was berating me about being part of the LGBTQ and community and generally being homophobic, in which I told him to shut up. He screamed at me why he should, and I told him that if I was going to either pass out or pass in his car, I wouldn't want the last thing I hear to be him yelling at me. Arriving at the hospital, we took a parking spot a bit far from the entrance, so my dad forced me to walk in. In the hospital they immediately rushed me off and gave me a shot of adrenaline as I felt as if I was dying. They asked me the same questions over and over and I was struggling to breathe, so I had to cut it up into tiny bits of information. They hooked me up with many sticker things that would monitor me. Luckily my head was clear during this entire thing, but it's not like I could convey any thought as I struggled through my nasal blockage and swollen throat. When I felt even the slightest bit better, I texted my friends about the situation to get my mind off everything. 1546, they didn't respond. So I sat in the hospital room looking around and playing on my devices which I brought, planning on being in the waiting room for a while. My father was soon allowed in the room and he talked with the nurse for a bit and I told him to get out of my room as I didn't like him. He leaves and gets replaced with my mother instead, who arrives, 16:00, and I mumble everything that's happened so far to her. My mother takes care of me for the rest of the hospital stay, even giving me food, 17:30, as I was starving. When I got home, 18:30, I hung out with my dog for a bit, dealing with small after effects before showering and getting into bed. My door was left open this entire time, so I didn't realize until 2200 hours. My brother walked into my room for a favor, which I denied, and tried to close my door. Did it occur to me that it was off its hinges? My father blames it on me slamming my door, but it couldn't be possible, as when I was slamming my door it was still operational, as it was repeated opened and closed as people walked in and out of my room to help deal with my allergic reaction. I'm pretty sure my father broke my door while I was gone, probably out of saltiness, because even if he's a grown-ass man, he acts like a fucking child. Pardon my language. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.